SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. The wait is over.
Let's get this thing started.
Go!
Welcome, one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to episode 120 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I am your host, Drew Willingham, and we are back for a special Sunday edition. I know you're used to seeing us on Mondays, and I apologize for the change. My work schedule has been absolutely wild, along with personal things that I got to move some things around in order to make it work. And this here and now, tonight on Sunday, I got two of the best in the In or Out Sports Debate business. They are in the top 5 of the In or Out Sports Debate Vault of Fame, which you are about to find here right now. Well, after I introduce him, let's go ahead and introduce him because I am hyped. Let's start off. He is the student of the game. 14-time Vault of Fame inductee, brings you that show that I just mentioned, as well as the Duval Dive Jaguar podcast on Fridays, now on Sundays at 8 p.m. for the next couple of weeks. Give it up for the man, myth, and legend, and my pal right here, Kyle Nash. Welcome back there, brother.
Honor, joy, and privilege to do the thing again, Drew Willingham. It's a good thing I am merely a student, for I can be forgiven for knowing not what I do as I perform blasphemy of the highest order with our next guest here.
Okay, yes, you do, and you coined a name, okay? You said it on this show right here. You called him out, and because of that, ever since then, the little gerbil upstairs has been spinning its wheel for me to come up with some ideas, try to figure out when and where we were going to do this, and we are doing it tonight, where we bring in a current 7-time Vault of Fame inductee, tied with Darrell Owens in the top 5 of the In or Out Sports Debates Vault of Fame. And he is someone that I've collaborated with in the past. Look forward to doing the same in the future and to seeing what comes out of his bright mind upstairs. Give it up for my man with 2 N's, Korrey Mann. Welcome back there, brother.
What's going on, gentlemen? What's going on? It is a privilege to be here, and it's finally time for me and Kyle and yourself to have a wonderful time.
It's finally time for Black Jesus to make it divine. Holla at you, boy.
Speaking of which, you got the name down there. Look at it spelled. That's what I'm talking about. Got it rocking and rolling. I didn't even notice that.
I'm not worthy of the J yet.
You know, we might talk about somebody with a J tonight here on this show, but I got to ask a question now because we are streaming live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and on X. Kyle Nash, you paying for that platinum X worthiness to go live on on X? How are you going live on X right now?
I'm not paying for the premium. I'm grandfathered in with the previous membership, but be careful. I tell people I'm on Twitter. I got a family. People don't need to be hearing I'm on X. That gives the wrong message.
We should talk more about that once we go into the green room after the show. I have a few more questions, but I was just wondering because I happen to see it in the top right corner. Thank you to those of you who are tuning in between all those platforms, as we have a great show for you tonight. And speaking of which, we got to go pay homage to all the people that have come before this in the previous 119 episodes, and that is in the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
I want to take this time to kind of shout you out, Drew. You have taken a concept and made it into a whirlwind of fun for a lot of people. I know for myself, dude, I am proud of you, man. I want you to continue to do what you're doing. But the concept that you came up with, how much you put into it, how much you've changed it, how much you add to it, the work shows, man. So kudos to yourself. Round of applause for you, man. And I just wanted to say thank you for having me on again. It was a lot of fun. Look forward to the next one.
Shout out to Drew for letting me come on the show. It was a lot of fun. Honestly, didn't know what to expect coming into this, and I am super happy that I agreed to come on to this because it was a blast, well-produced show. honestly extremely impressed by all the effort you put into this show, Drew. Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to coming back on in the future.
Man, you took me back. This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man Drew Willingham, because this has got to be one of the most fun things I've ever done in a long time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is the In or Out Sports Debate Vault of Fame, which you can see right here. This is the previous leaderboard through the 119 episodes. You got Joey Raymond in first, Rob Johnson in second, Kyle Nash in third with 14 appearances, and Darrell Owens and Korrey Mann tied for fifth with 7 appearances apiece. You can check out this show on the SIRTOBA Media platforms right here on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and doesn't want to acknowledge it, X, formerly known as Twitter. Mr. X, Kyle Nash, does not want to acknowledge right here and there. You can watch that on these platforms right here, whether live or syndicated, or the reels and shorts that are made after this show is live. You can find this on the audio platforms right here on Amazon Prime, Google Podcast, Anchor.fm. You can always download it on iTunes. Gentlemen, 5 great rounds tonight. We got to bring the fire. I'm ready, and I know you are. Are you ready for an RKO out of nowhere? We got to be here and now tonight. Let's take it into round 1.
Round 1.
And here with round 1, we got to take it to our guy right here, Kyle Nash. The student of the game should start a petition to bring UFL football back to Florida. Let's start this one off with Korrey. Let him try to inflate your ego a little bit there, Kyle. Are you in or are you out on this, my man?
Thinking about the state of football and knowing how much the South is important to football, I am in. I think that the UFL has done a great job of giving others that have not had an opportunity, a real opportunity to actually go to pro. So we've seen a lot of players from the UFL from this recent season play in the NFL, especially during this preseason. I believe the last name was Bates. The kicker that is with the Lions was just playing. I mean, you have so many different players now that are starting to venture out and actually get meaningful reps outside of the college terms, because everybody doesn't get what they need or mature during that time frame during college. So now that they have the UFL, it gives them an opportunity to hone their craft, hone their skills, and those that may have been in the NFL before, gets another opportunity, another crack at it. I mean, we've seen Matt Corral. We've seen his career go up and down. Maybe he does well with the area that he just went to. So I'm thinking, like, being a Southern guy myself and being from the lovely state of Georgia, I just know how important the South is to the state of football, especially Florida. When we think about the history of players that have come out of Florida, and I will be here all night listing those players. All right. So I think that the UFL is doing themselves a disservice not being in the state of Florida. They got to be in a place where it is going to maximize the potential of the business. I mean, that's simple business savvy. You got to be in a place where your business is going to flourish. And if you're not in one of the more equivocal places where you can grab those players that may not be seen, heard, or whatever, or can get access to the actual area where they can try out and play for the UFL, I don't think that, it's going to lead to certain business growth. It won't lead to the growth that they want. So I'm in on this. I think it's what's best, not just for the UFL, but for those players that are seeking a second chance and may not get a second chance elsewhere. So.
Well said. Definitely hard to debate that one. Kyle, how are you feeling? I mean, this is about you here. Are you going to agree with this? Are you going to go in or are you going to disagree and go out?
Look at you putting me right here in front of Black Jesus committing the sin of vanity. Thank you, Drew Willingham. It wouldn't be the first time you put me in a bad place against a panelist I haven't done battle with before. But hey, I don't mind a little divine intervention back me. Get the swimwear. I'm in. And when we're talking about forgive me, Lord, I have sinned here, the sin really committed is by the UFL, or shall I say the former XFL. It's not without irony there that Drew Willingham finds a picture of me with a black tie to do this stuff. Don't worry, go through a green tie rather with the black shirt. Go as the show goes on. Trust me, you'll see it because I covered the Orlando Guardians all year. And I know someone out there's going, but Kyle, they only won one game last year. They actually had a lot of other close games too. Two of them, by the way, with the team that would eventually win the championship after having a losing season throughout the first half. But nobody wants to talk XFL 3.0, especially the former owner of the Guardians and one Danny Garcia. That's right. The Rock's ex-wife and business partner who told me to my face at a scrum she, in fact, is an Orlandonian and then wants to tell me, oh, we got something for you, whatever down the line. Here's the thing. And listen, I like that Korrey as a Georgian, as Atlantean, and listen, congratulations, Korrey, man. This is the first year I've referred to the fraud cons by their proper name because I actually think they might do something in the NFC South. Don't believe me? Hear what I said, the Student of the Game podcast a few weeks ago, NFC South preview. Bing! Anyways, yes! With all that in my, oh yeah, right, Baron of the Bing in the building. Moving on. With architect, that's right. Korrey cited that excluding the state of Florida is patently stupid in any business model. Because please, that's what people hoped for. The Michigan Panthers? You even insulted Florida by using the damn state cat? Is this what we're doing? I get it. Maybe you're jealous that apparently hockey is the premier state in NHL hockey for right now. What's going on? Fine. Sure. I got nothing. By the way, I believe their kicker, the guy who annoys me on YouTube, destroying, also a Florida product. People, what am I missing? And while Korrey was kind enough to get past and skip over the confusion of how much Florida weather actually is the South or not, like people will tell you, the team I cover in the NFL for the Duval Dive, bing, they're in Jacksonville, is actually Southern Georgia. But then by the same token, Florida's not. We can skip that too because he did. The point is, it's a football haven. The only other state that might come close to being second is Ohio, with Texas at a distant first. And I know that ain't right either. Have you seen the Browns historically? Anyways, with all that being said, I get, you keep Birmingham in the building. They have traditionally performed in expansion leagues. The AAF, that Birmingham team was excellent. What they're doing to continue on with the Stallions is fantastic. By the way, a number of Orlando products there too, but nobody cares about Cole Schneider and Marlon Williams UCF products. I know a little bit about them from my time with the Black and Gold Banneret. Bing! So with all that in mind, please, Danny Garcia, remind me how you're an Orlandonian and tell me how it's smart to exclude Florida. I doubt you can do so. But yeah, please, let's get Michigan in there.
You know, as much as I want to say for the sake of debate and argue this, I just can't on this one. I got to agree with you guys. I got to go. Believe me, I wanted to. I wanted to send an RKO out of nowhere. We still have plenty of time left in this mother-fathering show to make that happen. Now, looking at football here, because, I mean, when you look at a show that my man and I, Cole Johnson, have every Monday afternoon, total football talk, bing, as my man Kyle Nash would say, I'm starting to get really good at the bing because he has been saying it a lot, and I have been watching him say it as a fan of my man's content right here, whether it's on SIRTOBA Media, bing, or if it's on plenty of other shows and platforms, which he deservingly deserves to get the message out. Now, back to the original topic. If there's anybody here that I know personally that could get this done or has the best motive to get this done with the knowledge of the area, it's my man Kyle right here, the student of the game, because the one lone year the XFL was truly back after COVID and everything, which was last year before we got to the ultimate merging between USFL and the XFL into the UFL. He got to see it when he had his team, the Orlando Guardians, there, and he was watching it in full effect. You had a team like the Arlington Renegades, like our guy Dwayne's rocking in this shirt, right here in this graphic, a team that went 4-6 and made it all the way to the playoffs. And then they still won, made it to the championship game and still won with the 4-6 record. The lone XFL year that they had the year prior, where they truly won a championship and saw the season through from beginning to end. Now, you bring them back along with like 17 other teams in Texas, and you've got a league that's mainly consistent of Texas teams. I was being a little dramatic with the 17. There truly is only 3 teams in Texas. Now, because of how big the state is and the market is, especially for television over there, I could understand having 2 of your 8 teams over there. That's still like what? I mean, percentage wise, that's still like 25% of the league, if I'm doing my math right. I mean, forgive me, I am a little tired, but I mean, 2 out of 8 is still, in my opinion, I feel like is a good amount to have out of 8 teams. When you have 3 out of 8 teams coming from one state, when as big of a state of Florida is when it comes to the game of football, it is a very, very hungry state. When you think about the rivalry between the Florida Gators and Florida State Seminoles, and they're going against each other there, and how big that is, it brings the state together in many ways because of how big that rivalry's been over the years. You think about many, many decades ago, looking back at Florida Gator football, and especially the Seminoles. So for Florida State, I'm just talking college. You could capitalize on all that by having a team in the state of Florida, and especially when you have somebody selling goods to my man Kyle Nash here, getting them all hyped. You're thinking when you hear those words that you have got a team in the state of Florida for the next decade as this brand itself, UFL, continues to mother, father, and grow. As I found out in the game of football, we have a guy with the last name Fotheringham. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit, okay? All right, Mr. Cole Fotheringham, your name is pretty cool. If you could just put a mother in front of the father, you'd have a beautiful name. Now back here into this show, when it comes to my man, Kyle Nash. If he should start a petition, he should. He should be the first mother, father, and signature on there, followed by Travis D. Holmes, and get me to electronically sign as third, because I support not only his message, but Travis's message with the Duval dying. Bing! And you have 17 bings from me in the first round to show my appreciation and my love for my man, Kyle Nash. Get the petition going, and let's get football back to the state of mother, fathering Florida.
How does one battle with flawless logic, Drew Willingham? I purchase me my legal brief. Here we go.
This show is brought to you by
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
The struggle was truly real to bring that take. I mean, the struggle was real just to get the show to go live today. But right here and now, I had to bring the fire as much as I could as we are getting things revved up. We've got 4 more rounds to go to. And we normally have breaking news after round 1, but I'm going to save it for a little bit because we are on fire, and I don't want to bring any of that down quite yet. Let's go ahead and take this into round 2 and continue to talk a little football.
Round 2.
Here with round 2. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy's NFL career is tragically over before it began, but, I did go a little out of turn. Before we get to round 2, truly, let's acknowledge people here in the chat because we haven't, we've been on the air for 20 minutes. We haven't had a chance to say what's up to the people. And Mickey Delaney said some words that I'm not going to click the button for, but you can see it over here to your far right. You can read it, and he was ready to go at 9:07 p.m. Eastern time.
LFG!
Ike says, yo, along with this must be the Legends edition. We've got two guys here in the top 5. Got to, I guess, in that case, we have to do it one more time.
Acknowledge me.
Absolutely. We got to acknowledge them. This is the Legends edition. So when it comes to more topics here.
You guys want to hear a fucking story?
The story is this. When it comes to our guy and the way his name is spelled, let's go Black Jesus in the house, says Cherry Galore out here in the comments. Thank you for tuning in and coming back with us once again. We appreciate you. Black Jesus is my new favorite in or out character.
This is better than acknowledge me, Drew Willingham. When Ike steps in and declares you the favorite, that is a win.
Along with this show needs to be a video game so I can download him and play him as my character. He is dropping straight down. Thank you all for tuning in and bringing the fire today. You know, when it comes to the rest of you in the chat, especially those of you who are just now showing up.
What's that?
Thank you all for those comments. She also says, so is this a G League for football? It's a very good question.
Yeah, I would call it that.
Without it being acknowledged as one, especially when you think about the take Korrey was giving us, you know, at the beginning of this, you know, it's talking about, you know, this right, you're talking about how we got to where we're at. You kind of complimented that, and I just kind of gave us the extra when it came to Kyle Nash starting the mother fathering petition. Get it started.
You got to start now. Start now.
We've got, you know, some more messages here in the chat from Run Through It 24. This has been going on for several weeks. You've also seen the commercials during the commercial breaks. You know what's coming.
The One Through It has been jumping through some student of the game productions as well. Let's say the footprint is everywhere.
It is.
I'm starting to feel like Dwayne from last week. This is getting a little creepy.
Evolution, adapt or perish. There it is with the hourglass. Time is ticking. And along with the commercials that we do have a very special one that we'll play at the end of this show once we get to the very end. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. But the person who's behind it knows exactly where I'm going with that. We shall click that button later on. Was that hi everyone, says Mickey Delaney. I was on time, Drew. Yes, you were. I was not.
Thank you for the birthday wishes, by the way, Mick. Appreciate you.
Yes. Mick definitely dropping the dimes with that too. You know, I didn't drop anything on the interwebs, but I sent Kyle Nash a message there. When it comes to Uncle Howdy, isn't the only reckoning coming, SIRTOBA, you should run. Holy snake!
Yeah, let me.
A video game character. There it is. There it is. Of course, other half jumping in, saying a video game character. She is dead with that one. But yes, we need to make this a game and not a video game character. But back to this for a second. Uncle Howdy isn't the only reckoning coming. I'm looking forward to seeing what is happening when it comes to the reckoning. SIRTOBA, everyone, you should run towards the show. Subscribe now. Never miss out on new content when it comes to SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Now, let's truly get this thing started with round 2. Since we've already clicked that button, let's just bring the graphic up once yet again. Now, when it comes to this, quarterback J.J. McCarthy's NFL career is tragically over before it ever truly began. Kyle, let's start this one out with you this time. How do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this one?
As hard as I've been trashing J.J. McCarthy as a draft prospect, I'm going to go with this one the same place I put my trash. I am out. Concluding the career of one J.J. McCarthy just on the strength of him being injured. let's just pump the brakes a wee bit. If anything, it gives the Vikings the opportunity to bolster some hope to protect the poor guy. And we don't need to talk about weapons. They got that really expensive Jefferson dude out there. He's all right. I'm saying jokingly, of course. You also have time to provide a running back, additional weapons. Maybe get something that resembles a bleeding defense up in that Humpy Bumpy to correct any mistakes he might make. In the meantime, good luck with Sam Darnold, please. That great white hype has been a problem for some time that people just can't get over. He's going to be a really good backup someday when people learn to use him as an actual backup. But that being said, listen, how many stories do you have? Listen, I'm not going to try to tell you that J.J. McCarthy is John Matthew Stafford, but he wouldn't be the first Michigan dude to come back like John Matthew Stafford if indeed he did so, okay? There's an opportunity here for him to actually hold the clipboard like I think he needs to do if he's trying to be successful in this league, okay? Say what you will, for example, about one Lamar Demetrius Jackson. An argument can be made, and I would make it currently, that he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. I said what I said, Joey Burr and Josh Allen fans, K. But he didn't get there right away. He held a clipboard for a while, waited behind against the guy who apparently is now the immortal Joe Flacco. Seriously, this dude keeps going on. He doesn't actually come back from the dead like Damar Hamlin does, but apparently the NFL press thinks so. Sorry, this is me complaining about the Comeback Player of the Year award again. My bad. Punchline's this, guys. This is an opportunity for J.J. McCarthy to study, to understand what it is to be a quarterback, to actually do more things, and hand off to a running back core and be protected by an offensive line that is exactly elite in college football. The thing is, the gap in talent between Michigan's offensive line and everybody else, he'll never see that ever again from his line against his opponents, which means he needs to be better learned and adjusted for the comeback anyway. Am I arguing blessing in disguise? Yeah, I guess I am. But it certainly means I'm out in the concept that his career is over, Drew Willingham.
Well said. My apologies for having it zoomed on my face, doing absolutely nothing.
No, it got me hyped up, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we still heard you. Just zoomed in on me doing absolutely nothing, during that absolute 10 seconds. But my apologies on that. Now, everybody has their moments. We're all human out here. The RKO out of nowhere came from myself. We put all that in perspective. Are you going to RKO Kyle Nash on this topic there, Korrey, when it comes to disagreeing and going in? Or are you going to agree yet again, for the second consecutive round on this show? Or are you going to do it? Are you in or are you out?
Well, so as far as the topic goes, I am out.
Here we go.
But here is where the remnants of the atomic bomb between Mr. Nash and myself is about to take place. Because how in the world is sitting on the sideline is what's best for someone to understand the game and be able to get better at the game? It's only so much you can read. It's only but so much you can view on video. You have to be able to apply the practical practices, etc., that you have learned in order to ensure that you understand what you are getting. So during the day, you guys, I'm gonna give you a little insight about Mr. Black Jesus here. Mr. Black Jesus here during the day actually teaches classes now for his occupation that he has been at for a long time. I didn't plan on being there for a long time, but it is what it is. We're talking about now. So here's the thing. When it's okay for me to go and teach them concepts, right? I can talk their head off all day long, but if I don't give them the opportunity to apply that, then what does it mean? Just a bunch of words, empty head, nothing applied. And they might remember, what Korrey said, this joke during this part of the content, and that is it. So how as unfortunate as it is that he's completely torn his meniscus, it has to get it completely repaired. I think that it is best that he is able to be out there on the field and actually be able to apply what he is learning. You're not going to win with Sam Darnold, as Kyle already said. So, let's just go ahead and take Sam Darnold. And I remember when he used to be like a phenomenon, but whatever. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Matter of fact, here you go, Drew, just for you. Sam Darnold. Okay, put him right in there. Put him in there. Okay, so your best chance at winning was at least allowing the rookie get loose, get behind that O-line. No, it is not going to be as great as Michigan, but guess what? It's best if you learn on the fly sometimes. And I think because you have that most expensive weapon named Jay Jettas, and you have Hawkinson, and you have Addison, like you have different weapons that you could actually utilize. You just have to be able to be on the field. I don't think this is going to necessarily hurt him, but I don't think this will elevate him. His mental game, okay, great. You'll be able to understand different concepts, but if you can't take that and apply it to the game and actually be able to practice it, it means nothing. So while I do agree that I am out, his career is not over. We've seen people with worse injuries. I mean, talk about Alex Smith coming back and playing in the game and how his leg was just all in shambles. I mean, you know, his career is not over, and he's young. He's like 21, if I remember correctly. So McCarthy will be fine. I just think that the notion that you get to sit back and learn does not benefit every player. You know, Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, you know, everybody says, well, he got to learn behind Alex Smith. So what? I think if he was able to play a little earlier, he might have an extra Super Bowl or two. Who knows? But in this case, I think the Vikings have no other option. It's not like they still have Kirk Cousins. To help them out and to bridge so rise up. So those Minnesota Barneys have no chance of winning anything this season. They can go ahead and forget it. I don't care if they got Aaron Jones. I don't care who they have. JJ McCarthy was their best chance at quarterback. So I'm out on the subject, but I think he needed to play. I don't think he needed to sit.
Fellas,
Let's get ready to rumble!
for the sake of debate, I am mother-fathering in. You knew it was coming at some point. I can't sit back here and let you two just agree on everything. Now, it's very unfortunate what happened to Sam Darnold, because now he's the starting quarterback of the Vikings because of this injury right here. You thought I was going to go a different direction. No, I'm going right here. It's very unfortunate for him, the Vikings, and everybody involved, now that you went from a college football national champion who had a lot of promise. You drafted him where you drafted him. Kyle was throwing shade. Everybody was happy. Okay, I was happy watching Kyle throw shade on their pick. I mean, but, you know, of course, I knew he was going to go the way he did tonight. Nobody wants to see this happen. I wasn't clamoring for this. You weren't clamoring for this. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, okay? You know, or at least there's people out there that don't want to, admit that. But right here and right now, when it comes to J.J. McCarthy and his career being over, as long as he is with the Minnesota Vikings, his career is over. Okay, that's my take number one. All right, because even Kirk Cousins had to realize that his best opportunity to continue to play in the NFL and to potentially win would be to leave Minnesota. Because I'm sorry, Kevin O'Connell, the pieces around him, and the coaching staff, I am not sold on this team and their leadership and everything that is going on in Minnesota, especially when you have Sam Darnold as your plan B. We've seen Sam Darnold in Carolina. We've seen him in New York, and he was just thankful to be in San Francisco where he was. And Kyle Nash can tell you all about that right there when it comes to Sam Darnold in his flash in the pan time in San Francisco that actually didn't lead to him doing anything meaningful in San Francisco. Okay, that's just my opinion, and I'm going to stick to it. Right here and right now, when it comes to J.J. McCarthy's career being over in the NFL, if he recovers from this injury and comes back, which I anticipate him to do fully, because you look at Aaron Rodgers and others who've come back from worse, okay, and especially in a short period of time. I mean, if the Vikings are relevant enough, he could try to do something particularly similar maybe, but at the same time, they're not going to want to thrust a rookie quarterback back in there on a short rehab time, just even if he did recover faster. I'm not trying to put that kind of weight on his shoulders, but what I am saying is this. You recover and you come back to Minnesota, you go back out there, Not going to say you're going to get RG3'd or anything, especially if you come back next year. But I just don't have high hopes for this Minnesota team. The offensive line is looking a little shaky based on what I've seen in highlights. I haven't watched full games, but we also can't get excited about preseason football. It's tough for me to really give my true thoughts on it until we're a couple weeks in, and then I start really predicting how the season's going to turn. And just like Kyle, Nash, Korrey, we're all human. We can predict things that don't fully come into fruition. But what I can say is watching this team right here, I don't blame Kirk Cousins for leaving. He's now in a situation in Atlanta to where, in my opinion, much better than the situation that he got hurt in last year. And the reason why he got hurt last year was because of missed assignments from that offensive line. And now look at where J.J. McCarthy's at. This is like watching Kirk Cousins go down last year all over again for a very similar reason, for a knee injury, okay? So, as long as J.J. McCarthy is with the Minnesota Vikings and he recovers and he goes back out there, this is going to happen again. The only way that his NFL career is going to continue, in my opinion, is if he seeks and is granted a trade to a better opportunity. And the one opportunity I would love to see J.J. McCarthy go to would be traded to Las Vegas and go play with Cole Fotheringham, because look at that player right there. You have a name of a person that, even though he isn't a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver, I told you I was coming back to Fotheringham at some point. The reason is this: he's a tight end. That could be your Travis Kelce for the Raiders for years to come. And who would you like to have throwing to him? A healthy J.J. McCarthy, because you know Uncle Rico isn't going to get it done. Uncle Rico is not going to get it done in Las Vegas. But J.J. McCarthy could. He could be healthy. He could be playing for a winner of a coach in Antonio Pierce. And that is how I believe J.J. McCarthy's career continues. But based on the topic at hand, right here and now, for what we have, as the banner reads below, his NFL career is tragically ever before began. More than likely, yes, because everything I just stated isn't going to happen. He's going to stay with Minnesota. They're going to throw him out there. They're going to have a terrible offensive line as it continues to regress, and he's going to get hurt again. And then from that point, because you've had 2 injuries to your wheels in a short period of time, they're not going to take you seriously. And now we're back to square one of you riding the bench, as what Kyle Nash would have much rather you do, and learn from somebody who can't win in Sam Darnold, and you get worse to continue. So what do you guys have to say to that? Because I know in this take, you got to rebuke with that because we disagree for a change.
I mean, listen, getting him to escape Minnesota outright isn't a bad take, but to your point, as you mentioned, it's also quite impossible, in my opinion, too, for a number of reasons. That being said, it appears to me that Black Jesus works in mysterious ways, much like Drew Willingham did with his argument there. You're going to evoke Alex Smith with a 49er fan for your argument. How very absolutely adorable, my good friend. My Lord, I know not what I do but to say one thing. The one year where Alex Smith actually started to perform by something other than the standards of a turnover machine, once he finally got consistent mental reps with a coaching change. Dude went through 6 offensive coordinators before he ever saw any light. Trust me, I had to sit through them. And then here comes finally Jim Harbaugh. He gets off the ground a bit. And the only thing that stopped his continued ascent was an injury and one Colin Kaepernick ripping the mantle from him, an athlete the caliber of which no one had seen lately, and just happens to be the perfect John Harbaugh family quarterback, a guy that can sling the ball down the field and also run incredibly fast, follow blocks. It was an amazing time. Unfortunately, Trent Baalke got in the way to ruin that, and now I have to cover the team he's currently GMing. Trust me, I have mixed emotions all over that. What helped Alex Smith then continue to be a gem and a dime and a guy who was a perennial playoff contender was arriving in Kansas City, where, again, he had mental consistency. Now, I'm not here to say he's supposed to, J.J. McCarthy's just supposed to learn the playbook by osmosis, Black Jesus. Please, cut me a little slack. There's no, that would in fact take a miracle. I'm keeping the puns going for you, Korrey. I got you. All right? Yes, that time He will have to execute in practice and do things like that. But the opportunity for him to rehab, to step back in, to have to relearn the position, to live in a world that is going to be completely different, where he's going to be in a run first, punch you in the face office to one that's going to be high flying and receiver and pass dependent. That is a complete mind change, and it's an opportunity for him to do it without getting bleeding killed by a terrible offensive line. Listen, we're all pretty sure the Vikings are going to have a damn high draft pick next year, and they'll get to shore that up and put him in a position to where he can learn while winning instead of learning through bruises. That's what I mean by him sitting on the bench.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just for the sake of debate, I want to have a little bit of fun with this. But I just think that I think that, that of course the mental part of football is like one of the most important things, right? The guys work on their bodies all year round. I remember the whole Jamarcus Russell thing. I'm pretty sure you all remember that. Giving him the CD or the tape or whatever with nothing on it. He said he looked at it, it was nothing on it. So I don't.
They had taped a $50 bill to the back of it and found it still there when they got it back from him.
Wicked. Just wicked. That's lunch. Like gas tank. But anyways, I think that, the mental aspect of the game absolutely needs to be addressed. But for him, knowing the situation that is going on in Minnesota, and yes, it could be a very terrible situation to where he can get hurt. Unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with right now. But I feel as if he was out there actually having reps, along with the mental aspect of it, he will further along advance quicker. You have a Justin Jefferson that you're paying a ton of money to that you probably won't. I mean, let's think about it. You probably won't give him a second contract for this with how much money they're giving him, given his age, and where they're trying to get to. So I think with him being 21, they have plenty of time to try to get McCarthy where he needs to go. But in the sense, if you had somebody that could be decent in the second string area where he could learn from them, I mean, then I think that would be more. I would more agree with you on that. But I don't trust Sam Darnold. That's not a Ryan Fitzpatrick type situation or something like that. So
I'm glad you bring him up because Fitzmagic and Tua are a similar kind of analogy, if you ask me. They put Fitzpatrick out there to take more hits. No, but why do you keep pulling Tua? It's so he doesn't get bleeding killed. And the dude ended up with 2 concussions later on in the same season, by the way. So listen, you set me up for the mysterious ways pun. Listen, you ask me about having fun. Hey, how many dad jokes did I drop on you for Black Jesus just in that past argument? I'm just saying.
Touche.
Well, it was very tough for me to even come close to arguing with the two of you with your takes on that. But just like Korrey said, with having a little fun for the sake of debate, I had to try my best to come up with an RKO out of nowhere. It didn't work in some cases, but in some cases it did. You never know.
You had to mother the father ham. I get it.
Hey, I found a way to drop the dime. I told you. It's coming. Mother, father, and ham. And apparently Mickey was saying, get to the point, Korrey. And this was 13 minutes ago. So he was not liking where you were going.
It's fine. I got one symbol for Mickey for, how he feels. Number one, I haven't seen him jump on here yet. Number two.
There it is.
Read between the lines.
And as always, we got people out here saying they want to see Black Jesus as a video game character. So when it comes to that, he can take as much time as he needs to deliver his point because it entertained us. And speaking of entertainment, we've got one great set of 3 rounds left. Well, I said one set, but 3 set of rounds. I don't know. It's late. Let's get back to the program. And with that being said,
Jesus on. It's a trinity of rounds. Hello.
Yeah, Trinity.
That's fire.
There it is. Dropping dimes as always with the architect of the Bing and Black Jesus. We'll be back after our first commercial break in just a couple minutes.
right direction. And all of a sudden you understand all you had to do all along is revel in what you are.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Some Willie Bucks.
Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered a winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete, 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 delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the SIRTOBA Media and the Korrey Media YouTube channels.
Welcome back to the In or Out Sports Debate, episode 120. We are live. I'm here with the student of the game, Kyle Nash, as well as Black Jesus, Korrey Mann. We are here on SIRTOBA Media, as well as Kyle Nash's platforms on Twitter that he likes to call now X, Facebook, as well as SIRTOBA's Twitch, YouTube, and my LinkedIn channel here tonight. Thank you as always for tuning in. And just like it says here in the comments, subscribe now and never miss out on new content. Click that like button, click that share button, help us get some more eyes on us while we are live. If you watch it on the replay, that's cool too. But your comments could end up here in the chat zone that we display here on the show that people can see as it's replayed. Now, with that being said, we still have 3 great rounds left in this show. Let's go ahead and take it to those and start it off with round 3.
Round 3.
You knew it was coming. Based on discussions that happened last week, and this one being from Cody Rhodes' podcast, Randy Orton's 2-word take on LeBron James as the NBA GOAT is accurate. Let's start this one off with a fellow wrestling fan himself, that being Korrey Mann, Black Jesus. How do you feel about this one there, sir? Are you in or are you out on this?
I hear something, Drew. I hear something. I hear voices in my head. I think they're telling me that I'm in. Randy Orton is absolutely, positively correct when he utilized the 2 greatest words in the English language to describe how LeBron equates to the greatest of all time conversation. I think a lot of people just look at LeBron because we have that right now mentality. You know, what's going on now? How do we feel now? And we don't realize how much great history has taken place to get us to where we are currently. Now, I am not going to disrespect LeBron by saying that he is just some average Joe, just some willy-nilly type of person, etc. And he is a different type of beast. He's 40 years old, going to be 40 years old this year. And the way he's played through the Olympics, the way he's probably going to go into the regular season, which I'm very concerned about him in the regular season, by the way, by playing the Olympics this summer. But that's a whole other topic for another day. LeBron is a unicorn. He's his own beast. Nobody's doing what he's been able to do. Except, I mean, I think the closest thing is probably Tom Brady with the longevity of the career and being able to still be productive. But with this conversation, we cannot sit here and say just LeBron as a player is the greatest of all time with his championship record. Absolutely, positively not. And to be honest with you, there hasn't been a time, and y'all can argue with me on this, I don't feel LeBron has led a team to a finals win. He's probably been the best player, but there hasn't been a moment that I can think of off the top of my head besides the smacking the ball off the backboard against Golden State a few years back, where LeBron has made this crazy impact to win a finals. Dwayne Wade did it basically by himself with a bunch of Golden assisted living home older players. So, I mean, I don't feel as if LeBron, he should be a part of the conversation if we're going to have it, but is he the answer? Absolutely, positively not.
Oh, my brother, testify.
Kyle Nash, I saw you twirling your head and stuff in the background. I know you got some things to say. How do you feel about this one? Are you going to disagree with Korrey and go out on this, or are you going to agree and go in?
I don't know whether this is Black Jesus or just a vision, but apparently some drugs are involved with this argument. Goodness gracious. I am a fat kid in dodgeball. I am out. Why is it whenever I come on this show, I feel like somebody who has to defend Donald Trump, not because he likes Donald Trump or whatever, vote for him. Plenty of bad statements just being made in general. And as somebody who's pro Michael Jordan as the GOAT, I can't stand bad arguments. Trust me, you're going to listen to a bunch of them in the next segment when Drew obviously says in and breaks his neck literally trying to talk about okay for the next 30 minutes. About that preamble, the punchline says, first of all, how can I believe this take in the first place when he says F LeBron and then goes on to say, well, I mean, the greatest of all time is all about what you think it is. So how on earth can F LeBron be a good take? Bam, I've already won the category. Next up. With that being said, LeBron has never carried a team. Did you see the group of trashmen and insurance sales agents that he took to Cleveland when he went back? What are we doing here, Korrey, man? What just happened? But I ain't even trying to defend LeBron like that, because you do make a great point, by the way. I know he's just playing the last year to play with his son, because otherwise how on earth would he survive the Olympics? You know, the Olympics, whereas a 40-something-year-old, he had to take the damn national team on his back, so eventually Steph Curry had to hit the game-winning three in the gold medal game, or the lock-up three, whatever it was, so people can make bad takes about Magic Johnson not being the best point guard of all time, but I don't hear any energy about that on this show. Anyways, no, listen, if you think incorrectly that LeBron James is the GOAT, there are arguments based in statistics, in fact, that you can use to wally-wabble and dance in the correct direction. For example, Michael Jeffrey Jordan has more first-round eliminations than LeBron James does. And apparently somehow we aren't allowed to count the Washington Wizards years, shortly after they were the Bullets, and Jordan's badass enough to suit up to bring up ticket sales for the team he has a part ownership in or something. Anyways, or was he a GM at the time? I forget which. The punchline's this, though, guys. Saying LeBron is the GOAT isn't the crime that everybody makes it out to be, especially when morons out there are trying to tell me that Steph Curry is the best NBA point guard of all time. We need to do better, and we need to do better than cheesy, clickbaity stuff that Cole Johnson, with a C, continues to do all the time on his show, and has now given a bad influence on Drew Willingham to the point where his shoulders are hurting. What are we doing? Anyways, that's all I have to say about that.
And speaking of that, I probably should take a clip out of previous episodes like I did with the Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II take and just click the button rather than turn the head, because it's coming.
For your health, buddy.
At some point. And now we're finally at a point in the episode. It took us 3 rounds to get here, where one of you is in and the other is out. And there's a decisive factor here to decide where this is going to shift and possibly help the fans in the chat, whether during live or replay. But just as Kyle predicted, he was right. I'm in. All right. Yes, you knew exactly where we were going with this. because we are talking about Yo King. Okay.
Ouch.
There's the head turn, the neck pop that I'm actually feeling a little bit better now that I got a Yo King. Yeah, because it's been 6 days since I've been able to do it. Okay. And we're talking about the man, myth, and legend known as the self-proclaiming king. Yes, maybe Cole Johnson is onto something with the clickbait, okay? But it's helping him out. He's getting a few subs here, a few subs there. He's getting more views here in some videos. And I got to give him shout outs because he's getting more views than you or I when it comes to live content. So I got to give him a shout out to that consistently, at least. Shout out to him for doing that. Now, when it comes to this, I did this because it was kind of a great way to blend basketball and professional wrestling into one segment. As Korrey came in with the promos, the architect of the Bing came in with the promos, and now the one wearing the RKO out of nowhere shirt is here on the mic. Now, with his take, he said, it's everyone's individual choice on who their GOAT is. I agree with that. I do agree with what his actual take on LeBron was, which was quote unquote expletive, that expletive being the F word expletive, LeBron. Okay, end quote. Now, when you think about that, you think about the man who wants to self-proclaim himself as Yo King, okay, right here and now, and he's been doing it for several years. Korrey is right. He needed help to get those championships. He, like Kyle said, apparently was carrying garbage men to the NBA finals. In some of those finals, yes. But the one that he won in 2016, he needed help from Kyrie Irving, who has proven in multiple cases outside of his time with Cleveland that he can be one of the top players in the league, especially with what he did last year in Dallas, okay? And his career isn't over yet. You also had to have Kevin Love while he was still in his prime in order to win the championship in that time frame, and he was there during that tenure when you went to 4 straight. Kyrie was the only notable one that left, and they still had to make moves for maybe not players who were of that caliber of what Kyrie was, but they still brought in other players that were all-star selections in past years. And overall, you can hold up the trash can all you want to, but here and now, when you think about the fact that LeBron had to have help during that time frame that he went to 8 consecutive NBA finals, yes, he did have to have help there. He also had to have help with a team full of superstars from the United States in order to get that gold medal, just like you had brought up with Steph Curry having to score a bunch of points, 30-plus points in consecutive games towards the last few games of the tournament in order to get to the gold medal game. As the time went on, once they got past the exhibition games, which are tune-up games anyway, LeBron was still playing okay, but he was regressing to the LeBron that we are not accustomed to seeing. Yes, he is almost 40 years old, and I'm not going to sit up here like Max Kellerman and say he's going to fall off a cliff, because even if he was playing to the age of 40 20 years ago when Jordan was playing for the Wizards, okay? You bring up a point that, we don't want to talk about the time that Jordan was with the Wizards. Yeah, because Jordan, he wasn't himself because he had retired twice throughout that time frame and taken a break. LeBron played consistently in this game. And the argument I'm going to make with that is the game has become more pussified as time has gone on, just like what Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II did for the NFL. That kind of needed to happen in some cases because of the contact sport that it is for the NFL. But for the NBA, why do we need to pussify the game even more than what it was? And it wasn't even that way before. It was a physical, down in the post type of game back when Shaq played, shattering backboards. That was the time to watch basketball. You can't even get excited about an NBA game anymore because it's like another form of watching ballet. So here and now, when it comes to my man Korrey's take, I agree with that. I agree with Randy Orton's RKO out of nowhere with him saying expletive LeBron, which is why I'm wearing this shirt tonight, because he dropped an RKO out of nowhere to all of us when he said this past week. And I drop an RKO to my man Kyle Nash here and now for episode 120 of the Inner House Sports Debate, because even though there is shade thrown when I say, yo, Korrey, here now, I'm going to be on the record for admitting that it took 17 Korreys to get my point across tonight and to get some extra laughter out of Kyle Nash and some extra question marks in the background, wondering what is going on out here in these streams. But before you give your rebuttal, I'm interested to see why the trash can is up on my man's desk.
Mr. Willingham, we agree on this topic. This is not for you. This is for Mr. Nash over there.
Yes!
He wanted to come back. My point with LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers that he took to the NBA Finals, okay? Great. He took them to the Finals. Cool. Bunch of nobodies, whatever. We act like Mo Williams was not balling, because Mo Williams was definitely balling at that point. But in this situation, when they got to the Finals, what happened? Him dunking in the Spurs. RKO out of nowhere. That's the segment, right? That's exactly what happened. But I'm a Heat fan for life, so I always would love to talk about the Heat when I can. When Dwayne Wade, in his second or third year in the league, took a big senior facility of players to the NBA Finals and overtook the Finals by himself. He's not on the quote-unquote level of LeBron, but for some reason, he was able to get it done. And as Drew just eloquently said, by the time LeBron went and did his thing, the game was much more pussified. So I'm trying to understand, why does LeBron get a pass? He's got, 4 titles? And he's had Batman, Robin, Flash, the Avengers, as he called the USA national team, to get him to those wins. He does not win without a partner. AD, Kyrie, Kevin Love, Dwayne Wade. Do we need to keep going?
You'd be wise to stop because you've cornered yourself, but continue.
Ooh. No, go ahead.
Name me one time Jordan didn't win finals without a Hall of Famer and a big trio, a big three, before it was cool to call it a big three. I'll wait.
Who's the third?
No. We don't get to drop the argument that LeBron had help when Kevin Love was hurt, and you keep bringing him up and getting dunked on with that point constantly, Drew. Wrong again. Thank you. Then, oh, Black Jesus, it would seem your hearing has been distorted by the devil himself. I didn't say anything about that Spurs group, although he was a young player who that team refused to help. Mo Williams was balling. Really? You're going to give me the Zilgauskas defense? Stop it, Korrey, man. The one team I was telling you about was when he went back to Cleveland, which I clearly said. That group. Wait, Tristan Thompson's supposed to get me excited? Hell, J.R. Smith sabotaged him in the next playoff run he went to, so they got eliminated. I mean, what are we doing here, guys? Okay? No. If you're going to come at me with this, come at me with good takes. And hey, listen, for one, you're Miami Heat. I'm going to defend what Dwayne Wade is, man. He got my guy Alonzo Mourning finally to a finals in a reasonable way and got him the ring he was looking for a long time. And Shaq being in support. Listen, it's amazing what a powerful big man can do when you have him down low. Kobe Bryant showed us that too, and then tried to hide behind having another big man that, suddenly people don't talk about anymore. I don't know if it's because he's white or because he's not Shaq, but Kobe never won it without a big man either. I'm just throwing that out there. Nobody wants to talk about Marc Gasol and his role with the Lakers. Why is that? And I mean no disrespect to the late, great Kobe Bryant's obviously a great player. And if you want to call him your GOAT, you're allowed to do that by the very same rules of the man that said F LeBron in the first place. And apparently now he can do that. Whatever. But guys, if you're going to defend Michael Jordan as the GOAT, which he is, these weak he needs help arguments don't fly. Jerry Krause, a fat white guy, is the reason why that Bulls team was successful just as much as one Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Well, let's make sure we get the right Gasol brother. It's Pal.
Oh, did I say Mark? My
You did. Now,
I do call the NBA my distant third language.
You keep bringing up this big three thing, like he had it before it was cool.
Brought it up. Hold on.
No, you brought it up saying that about the Bulls.
Brought up LeBron needing help. Kyle didn't.
Yes.
I had to rebut that so somebody out here can seem factual.
Okay, Dennis Rodman, first of all, isn't known for scoring points.
But Horace Grant is.
Who?
Horace Grant is.
But not to the level that LeBron had to help with the point scoring in his big three games.
Who?
If you compare the stats and you look at it, the only one out of all the people that he won those 6 championships with that you could compare and contrast with, honestly, it would be Scotty. Okay, I give you that with Scottie Pippen. He had his Batman and Robin right there. Okay, however, when it comes to the
he
three,
got Kevin Love. You notice that again because he knows he was hurt.
No, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to that in a minute. All right, I'm gonna go back to Kevin Love. I'm talking about Bulls Jordan days now with 6 to kind of go back to, since I'm not providing facts here. I'm gonna provide you with some mother, father, and facts. Okay, Scotty, I give you in the 6 championships. Yes, was definitely the second piece he had to have. And when it comes to basketball, you can't just have one star out there and win with one person out of your 5 people that are on the floor. All right, now. When you think about the third one, they were obviously interchangeable throughout those 6 championships because you got to look at not only B.J. Armstrong, you can look at Horace Grant, you can look at Steve Kerr, and you can look at Rodman on the defense, and there are several other players that you could put in there. Even Tony Kukoc, who was not even formidable outside of that once Jordan retired. Okay,
I was stuck in Minnesota. Cut him a little slack, buddy.
Yes. Now, when we get to LeBron, all these players, I mean, Scotty had a little bit of, he had a flash in the pan with the Portland Trailblazers after he left the Bulls, but still didn't reclaim much of what he had without Jordan. He was not what he was when he played with Jordan. They had that 1 year, I think, was it 2000?
If they passed that Knicks series, they would have been dangerous. Anyway.
In 90, well, yeah, when he was playing baseball, I get that part, yes, because they still had a decent team, but even they proved when he came back, they still couldn't get to the championship games without him, and they still did it by winning all 6 championships in 6 games or less, okay? LeBron played in a more pussified era that he created, okay, and is 4-6 in the championship games, okay? Even if he wins 2 more NBA championships, he's still 6-6. He still played in 12 NBA championships at that point, if that were the case, and only won half of them. Jordan is 6-0. All right, that's one.
First round exits. Okay, just checking.
Well, I mean, yeah, he had a lot of first round exits ahead of him learning how to win, but he learned how to win with the same team, with the same coach who was the assistant coach who became the head coach during the time he was there. LeBron had to play for how many head coaches? As a question that was posed by Eric Bryant in the chat that we'll get to here in a second. Played for how many coaches LeBron played for?
I don't know how that's relevant, but okay.
Because, I mean, look at the difference in the teams and the schemes and the players he's played with. Just like you admitted with Dwayne Wade having to be the one to help him learn how to win the championship because he just got Alonzo Mourning a championship in the mid-2000s. He had to go somewhere else, and somebody had to teach him how to be a champion. He then had to have help after that in order to become a champion. Jordan learned how to become a champion within the same team, learning from a good coach, and didn't have to go anywhere and play with the same franchise his entire career. Okay? And Kobe did the same thing with Phil Jackson, who learned how to be a champion based on Phil Jackson and his resume coming to Los Angeles. So, in all of that, how is there nothing that I just said that wasn't factual?
So, for one, you're leaving out Kobe Bryant threatening and demanding a trade and having to be kept back. So there's that. It's not like there wasn't malcontent there. Also, there's that. The other piece about Jordan learning how to be excellent, I think that was more about the front office really realizing they had something together. And do you think Jordan was quiet back there. Sir, it just didn't come out like that back then, buddy. I would encourage you to watch The Last Dance again and tell you about how he was rattling some chains in his own way. Okay, let's be clear about that. And for clarity, I had never taken any away from that Braun got more help or didn't need help in Miami. I don't think that was stated at all. The point that was made, due respect, Korrey, you said you never felt like Braun led a team to a championship as the top guy. And that's patently false, I think, with the group that went back to Cleveland. If you don't want to say that he was the leader when Kevin Love, who was injured, and Kyrie Irving was around, I would argue that, but fine. To pretend that he's never taken a Cleveland team to that's tough for me to come down with. And by the way, who would you say the main person was in LA? Or are you going to say, oh, it doesn't count, it's a bubble? I mean, are you going to pull that? Like, stop moving the goalpost is my subtle request. And again, I'm saying this as an MJ guy, fellas. The correct answer for Michael Jeffrey Jordan is the guy was competitive at everything. And if he was put in this era, you're going to tell me he wouldn't be dropping threes?
That if Jordan was playing this era, he would average 50 points a game
because he would drop threes and he would have built up that part of his game. I mean, Korrey, as a fellow MJ backer, you know that dude had that dog in him to train himself up like that, right?
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing, though. The thing is, like, it's not that the goalpost is shifting. I just think that we need to figure out what to quantify what is substantiating for LeBron versus Jordan. When you hear the name LeBron James, does it carry the same weight as Michael Jordan on the basketball court? If we're talking about business, LeBron is severely more successful than Jordan.
Definitely the better
period. Severely more, right? But we're talking about basketball courts. Okay. On the basketball court, people did not fear LeBron like they feared Jordan. And to be honest, like when we look at the totality of the teams, I've never said Jordan didn't need help. But Jordan didn't need as much help as LeBron did. Because when Kevin Love came over to Cleveland, was he not a 20-plus, 10-rebound-plus game scorer and average and rebounder during his time in Minnesota? He was averaging double-doubles left and right.
Right.
He had Kyrie, who is an assassin. Like, nobody can stay in front of Kyrie, right? Okay, Kevin Love got hurt, whatever. I'm not saying that LeBron is not an integral piece to the titles. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to diminish his importance to that. But what I am saying is like when I think about his titles and I equated it, that's why I used the Dwayne Wade example. I can't think of anybody else on that team with Dwayne Wade that I could say, okay, met him at his level and they were killing it together. Dwayne Wade took those series over. They played defense and said, here you go, Dwayne, on offense, handle your business, right? LeBron was dancing back and forth between him and Kyrie in that series with the Warriors, and they went crazy. Nope. I just don't have I don't have a finite moment where I can say, all right, this is because of LeBron. That's just all I'm saying. I don't.
The way I would shift the cube on that, and again, I on this particular topic, I have less of an opinion, I'll be honest. The whole I'm not afraid of LeBron thing is interesting because if you aren't, why do you talk about him so much? But I do understand that there is a more of intimidation and more of a mystique. Jordan's known for talking more trash, for example. Jordan's known for getting in scraps with John Starks. I think this goes more with the taming of the game that you guys cite, which if you want me to debate you on that, now you're back on your drugs. But the punchline is this, my friend. When it comes to LeBron and Jordan, there's two different styles of game, right? What was Michael Jordan's commercial? Be like Mike, Air Jordan, right? What was LeBron's first commercial before the decision, before he became the villain, which Jordan never did, by the way, unless you were a Knicks fan, right? That narrative was court vision and passing. They're two different styles of game. And that's the reason why I don't really get the, oh, well, he needed this. Hey, you know what? He also made Tristan Thompson and Kyle Kuzma relevant guys. Okay. These aren't people that are GOATs, but he finds a way to distribute the ball and win with them. And listen, Jordan will tell you the biggest problem with the reason why the Bulls fell apart and broke up was age. And Jerry Krause wanted more credit than he probably deserved, even though he deserved more than he got. Right. Those were the things that killed the Bulls. Whereas He was begging Cleveland for help, and they came in with Mo Williams. Guys, that ain't help. Okay. Jordan asked for help. They got Scotty. Do you see the gap here? I think if he was given help the first time in Cleveland, it would have been fine. He would have stayed there. Christ, it might have been another 5 or 10 years. He left because he had to make a name for himself for doing something other than losing, because we would be talking about him not even sniffing being the GOAT back in the 2010s or 2000s. If not, he had asked for that move. Tell me what his career would have been as the business mogul if he stayed in Cleveland and didn't go to Miami, guys. It would not have been what it is today.
Oh, no, I agree with you on that. And I'll even bend the knee on one thing for you to you this there, Kyle, that I'll say, even though I still agree with Korrey in this overall topic, I will at least agree that right there, what you just said, as far as he needed to go to Miami and of course to LA to continue to elevate himself. And I will at least agree with the fact that, when he went back to Cleveland, he did the right thing by going back and bringing a championship to his hometown team, a team that, like you said, he had to leave in order to build his own personal brand. And I will say in that the only part of what Korrey said I will disagree on is that was the time, and especially when they won the championship in 2016, where LeBron did carry them to the point of the NBA Finals. But there was some other missed calls within the NBA Finals, and as well as a Golden State Warriors team that wasn't fully on their game during that series because of Draymond Green fouling out in multiple games and getting suspended, and some other injuries and some other things that played a part into them winning that finals. You can't just fully say that he did it all himself, and with Kevin Love being hurt, because there were some other factors within that with the Warriors and with the officiating back then during that series that kind of handed that one over to him. And then, yes, with the bubble situation, I will argue that all day long, because that was bogus. He should be 2-8 right now in the finals, but he isn't. He's 4-6, and we got to acknowledge it for what it is. Stats are stats. Now, with all of that, I'm going to also take something that Kyle Nash said and shove it right back at you to make Korrey feel better about what I just said, because it's time to do that with as much twisting of the knife you did in this take. It's time for me to do it with this one. Now, when you say LeBron James being great as a GM, all right.
He said better than Jordan. I never said great.
Hold on. Better than Jordan. When was Jordan a GM? Because remember what you said earlier, Jerry Krause had total control over that team. All right. Jordan was a GM. Maybe partially you could argue. Hold on. I let you talk. Washington in that time frame, you could argue a little bit in there because of what he was trying to achieve by becoming an owner. Okay. And, Kwame Brown and all that were big miscues. Okay. Well, look at all that. I'm talking about the time. I mean, you want to bring up Washington, and that's well and good. But the time where he was an actual player, before he even started getting in the business side with Washington, he had nothing to do with all of the moves that were made with Chicago. Of course, they can voice their opinion, but at the end of the day, he's not the GM. He doesn't make the moves. LeBron has had more power in the last decade since leaving Cleveland, since leaving Miami, coming back to Cleveland, since he went to Cleveland, and now with being in LA, he has practically been a GM, just not on paper. Rob Pelinka's the one pulling the strings, but LeBron saying, you do this or I don't re-sign, because he's signing these short contracts and refusing to come back if he doesn't do what is said. Jordan never did any of that. Yeah, he did retire twice in the gap of his 3 stints in the NBA throughout his career. But of all the things, with Jordan talking smack, maybe clashing with some other teammates, there is nothing that you can say where he held a franchise ransom and said, I'm not going to do this if you don't do that. And as far as bringing other talent in and basically being the puppeteer, pulling the strings behind who you got here, Rob Pelinka, and the other one, I forget what his name was over there in Cleveland. But between those two situations in the past 10 years, you have done that, and you have gone to 9 NBA finals since when you left Well, wait, no, I would say 5 because you got to take out the 4 from Miami Heat. So 5 NBA Finals in the last 10 years. And out of all that, you're 2-3 as a GM. And you want to sit here and you want to say that he's a better GM than Jordan. Yeah, maybe as a player GM, okay? But if Jordan would have had the opportunity, and especially playing in this era where you got a lot of great talent, the game is pacified to the event to where there is a lot more shooting from beyond the arc. I believe that people would want to play with Jordan before they would want to play with LeBron, because Jordan's the type of silent and assassin to where he's not going to be out there claiming he's the king every time he drains a 3, or every time he closes out a game, or every time he has a big moment, or congratulations for getting your son into the game, into the league with a little bit of nepotism. But even Jordan didn't try to do that at the same time. So when you put all that perspective, Kyle Nash, how am I not wrong in this? How can you go against this and say I'm wrong?
Go ahead. Black Jesus is calling for the book.
No, I have to, like, now that part, Drew, I will unequivocally disagree on, because I think more players will want to play with LeBron because LeBron is more player friendly. Jordan is more of that, hey man, him and Kobe are very similar. And we've heard the stories about Kobe and how he go at his teammates in practice. So like, you know, over the years, especially since he's passed, you know, rest in peace. But Jordan, it was him and Kobe, same line, right? LeBron is more of like, hey man, come over. All right, let's go play video games and have Taco Tuesday after we're done with practice, you know? So that gets more people to connect with him. He understands today's world, right? We're dealing with at least 3 to 4 different generations of people walking this planet right now. And the thing that a lot of leaders don't understand is how to adjust to those people, right? Back in the day, it was, hey, right here, right now, this is, you got to do this because this is your responsibility. You know, you have so much going on. You didn't realize how many different avenues of things you have. Now, as a leader in today's world, you have to be able to adjust to each and every one of those people if you're trying to make a cohesive unit. So I'll pass it off to you, Kyle. I just wanted to make that statement.
No, that's a great point. And I don't necessarily want to go through and bore anybody by going through GM stats in particular, but Jordan didn't become a GM really proper until after he got out, when in his ownership. And I forget if he had, no, that's he didn't have times with the Suns. I think that was Isaiah I'm thinking of. But the ventures that he had beyond his playing career, LeBron has put teams together more successfully as a player than Jordan ever did as a suit, right?
So
and that's more kind of a throwaway joke line. If you want to hold that against me, fine, you do that. But yeah, this whole everybody wants to play with Jordan thing, Korrey nailed that nicely. And you keep putting King James on LeBron, buddy. The press put that on him as a high schooler. You're going to blame him for that?
No, you answered that well. So, but basically what you guys are saying is you would rather have a teammate that, you know, oh, nice and fun and fake in some aspects, and let's go do the Taco Tuesday, or how about Taco Lose Day? Because you lose more than you fucking win. All right. So when it comes to, yeah, because I'm gonna drop one F-bomb on the show because I mean they do it on TV. So there's my F-bomb. You got it out of me, Kyle. All right, there it is. So you want to go have a lot of fun and be a great teammate and have a great time and lose, or would you rather have a team that drives results led by somebody who can be an asshole but motivates you to fucking win?
Well,
I'd rather have more rings and more money and more all that, which what Jordan can do. And yes, LeBron has done absolutely great on the business side and has put himself in position after position with going to Miami and going to LA, which I don't disagree with you on. But this this had nothing to do with businessman, GM. This is about GOAT, the greatest to ever do it. And, you know, anybody can gargle some walnuts here and there off to the side and kiss their way to the top. Okay. All right. And do that. Or would you rather die knowing that they can't take anything away from you, that you left it all out there on the court? Yeah, some additions and subtractions came here and there, but you're still 6-0 in the NBA Finals and you won it all in 6 games or less. I don't care about how great of a business person you are. This had nothing to do about this. We can have a topic about who's the better business person, and I'll say all day long it's LeBron. But you're bringing up all these different takes in here, Kyle Nash, that have nothing to do with the buzzer-beating situation and the fact that the man has won more championships than he's lost. Oh, yeah, because he lost none. So that's why you got Randy Orton saying,
no,
LeBron.
Sir, you're better than this argument, okay? What's a more successful season? Going to the conference finals or going to the finals?
I mean, I get you on that, but you still lost.
But if you get me, you wouldn't call it being a loser. And you wouldn't. And by the way, if you believe the way you do, Joe Montana's still the GOAT in football. Well, your boy Thomas Edward Patrick Bieber Brady II did plenty of playoff choking that nobody wants to talk about, you included. So that's why that's a bad argument. Buddy, I already handed you the better argument if you're going to go, who do you want? More balls to the wall or more passive and more of a air quotes chance to lose? Okay. I already handed you that Jordan's competitive enough to pick up his 3-point game and to have made it prolific if he were here. You're welcome. But, and here's the thing. This is where I'll definitely agree with you that the game is pacified to a greater extent. What Jordan did then would not fly in this era. That's the difference. And I think LeBron has a better chance of surviving in the past than Jordan would now because he would be too tough, right? I'll never forget the better example, Tony Dungy saying that Peyton Manning would be a terrible coach because he would demand too much. And as much as people don't want to acknowledge this part, championships are a team stat. And thus a very bad argument when trying to mint the GOAT. And again, I say this as a guy that thinks Jordan is the GOAT. But now I have strengthened you, Drew Willingham, through the power of Black Jesus as well, to argue better the point than you ever had to, so you don't have to hurt yourself with 17 okay.
You still did you still mocked that very well to the point where I want to give you one more okay, just because you motivated me for number 18. And I will bend the knee to Kyle Nash, and this is because we cannot make the entire show about the 19th time. Okay! Now, take it.
Let's get one more seat to get the round 20, Drew Willingham.
With that being said, let's go ahead and acknowledge some comments real quick. As Ike says, LeBron is trash.
That's
not
bit much.
My GOAT. Followed by, I was talking about earlier with the comment Eric said about how many coaches LeBron has played for, along with Pau Gasol. You know, both you and Korrey were correcting him with that, with Pau Gasol. Drew, leave that okay to Cole Johnson. Oh, okay. The okay. All right. I will do my best to let him do that whenever he wants to, but I'm going to do whatever I want to as well. He inspired me to say YK. Now, Rodman used to score in Pistons, right? I mean, yeah, but Rodman's known more for his defense and rebounding. Okay. So yeah, he could put up points, but when did you see Rodman step back behind the arc and take threes?
Well, they didn't do it like that back then. When did you even see him dunk? It didn't happen a lot, you know.
I mean, no. I mean, but he was. I mean, if you want to talk about rebounds and defense, I'll give you that all day.
Of course, that's why he was there.
Yeah. Scotty was hooping when he was playing baseball. He was. And just like when the Rockets have won those back-to-back championships for those 2 years that Jordan was out, you know, Scotty was getting them to the Eastern Conference Finals and was doing what he did. And, you know, they couldn't get back to the NBA Finals, but, you know, he was Robin to Jordan's Batman. I mean, he definitely, they worked well together on the court. Off the court, they had their issues. Go look at the Last Dance, like Kyle has told me I need to go back and watch again.
I mean,
but
fun though.
Yeah, I mean,
Scottie Pippen Nightwing. I'm asking guys. I
do what? Scottie Pippen what?
Scottie Pippen Nightwing because he went out on alone and did pretty good without being.
Yeah.
Where's my nerve?
Definitely Nightwing. Definitely Nightwing.
Phil Jackson, a Hall of Fame coach, though. Absolutely. We were talking about that earlier. Pat Riley, a Hall of Fame basketball guy as well.
Yes, without question.
Jordan can't go left in today's game. Mike is a Jaylen Brown.
Ooh,
I don't think.
I think he like to Kyle's point. He's competitive enough to adjust. So I don't think that it has some substance, but it's like 0.2 substance. I don't think that's going to be.
And I think that Jordan would adjust a lot easier than LeBron would have if LeBron was drafted into that era. Because remember about how sensitive LeBron was when he first came out, and he's even acknowledged that to the point that his son is handling it a lot better than he even did. Because his son's getting similar to the hype that LeBron got 20 years ago when he first came out. And he was the number 1 overall pick. This is the most overhyped second-round pick we've ever seen.
Bronny isn't having to do it as a high schooler, though. Let's be clear.
That's a fact.
Yeah, but he's only 1 year removed from high school. It's not like he played all 4 years in college and he's 22 years old. He's still a teenager.
He only played 1 year in college?
He only played 1 year in college.
1 year.
And if you remember, what was it? LeBron turned 19 in his rookie year. So they're very similar in age when they came in.
That close. My bad. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Bronny's going to be 20, of course, in his rookie year. But LeBron turned 19 in his rookie. I mean, they're very similar in age.
And you can't beat having tutelage of a dude that went through it already. Like, I would imagine,
I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. for the NFL is a prime example, too. And that is someone that we could talk about. You know, we may have to save that for the next time we get up on here.
We will one day. I was going to say, Drew Willingham.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk about that after the breaking news here in a little bit. But y'all need Gen Z on here to defend Bron. They drink that Kool-Aid. The LeBron James.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just here trying to craft good Jordan arguments. That's all I'm doing.
We got Playmaker in the house. Talking about witness protection earlier, and there it is. Playmakers in the house. Says Kyle Nash and I might need to do a show sometime. And you know what? That's actually a really good suggestion. Kyle Nash always dropping dimes in here on who we would like to face next. He brought Black Jesus up at one point. Now we got a Playmaker calling his shot. We'll have to see. Let's see if you guys have some availability on a Sunday night here down the road.
Listen, best not miss, but you may want to move your microphone out of your face so you can take the shot.
Hey, the shot was fired.
Yikes.
We're going to have to give him this.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You don't know.
Take that Playmaker and bring one back. Not even 1 year. Bronny missed half the season. Yes, because he was in his freshman year in college, Ohio State. He had the heart attack, and then look at where we're at now. So, with all that being said, the other comment we got is Kevin Love got hurt 1 year before the Cavs won the title.
Okay. But the statement is that Kevin Love's carrying him. He may not have been missing games, but he was not full. You're dropping stats from Minnesota's time. He was not that player anymore. Let's be clear about that.
Well, I think he had to adjust though, just like Chris Bosh had to when he came to Miami. If it was a situation like when Dwayne Wade and LeBron left, and Chris Bosh had to be the only player, he stepped his game right back up again as if he was in Toronto. So I think it's just the adjustment. Kevin Love wanted to win titles. He was tired of being in a losing situation in Minnesota. And let's be honest, Minnesota had been trash for quite some time. Right? Hello, right? Quite some time. And, he wanted to win. And, of course, as we know, when you want to win titles, as you said earlier, it's a team statistic. So he had to sacrifice some things. So I don't think it was necessarily his ability.
Would you say – go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done, Korrey.
No, go ahead.
Would you say Bosh was closer to his prime than Love, though? You see, that's what I'm getting at.
I gotta look at their ages. I gotta look at their ages. Like honestly, I feel like he was, but in the same token, I think Kevin Love could have kept up the same productivity if it was asked of him from the start in Cleveland. I think once you get used to a role, you just kind of like take the other stuff and you just kind of put it in the back of your mind, and everybody's not able to tap back into that side of their mind where they're just able to let loose and let everything they used to do happen again. So I just think he just got adjusted to the role and, forget everything else.
I can't diss that point. Like, that's one of those things that we would never be able to really know until we saw it. So, yeah, I hear you. That could be.
And your witness protection comment gets, all that means is that Kyle has been paying attention to the Playmaker.
Why would I not throw respect?
Yeah.
Listen, I talk trash, but I'm not an evil man.
Speak.
I give praise to Black Jesus. Don't we see that I am a good man?
As you see the name right there, Black Jesus, back on your screen. And when it comes to paying attention to others out here in these streams, whether it's the three of us doing our stuff or Playmaker, subscribe now and never miss out on new content, whether you're watching this on whatever platform you're on, or look up the Playmaker's blog on YouTube and all major platforms. Show some love to our guy, the Playmaker, out here in these streams. Now, with that being said, we've gone through 3 great rounds. It's time to take it to round 4, discuss the By the Numbers segment.
Round 4.
Let's here with round 4 By the Numbers. Ray Allen is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 20 in all of sports history. Kyle, we'll start this one out with you there, sir. How do you feel about this take in hand? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Sir, listen, this is very easy. I am out. Listen, I got no beef with Ray Allen chucking it from the cheap seats before it was cool and Steph Curry not being a thing. And you can have other arguments. I'm sure somebody else will mention the great and mighty Barry Sanders, whose dad didn't even think he was the GOAT. So how can I be wrong for steering a different direction? No, I don't agree with his dad directly. I think he's a better running back than Sweetness. But what do I know? I'm too busy trying to throw praise to Christian McCaffrey right now. We'll have the GOAT conversation after that, and it won't be Run CMC. Settle down. It was a joke. The punchline's this. In a world where safeties at a high level have become a rarity and have basically disappeared, my dude, Ed Reed, is going to get it from me here for the number 20. Okay. And listen, I'm a Troy Polamalu guy. I'm a John Lynch guy. But you know what? It was still Ed Reed that was doing amazing things in a time of what might be the best eras of safeties at all time. And there are those who will tell you that he was the creme de la creme when the cream was rising to the top. Oh, yeah. There, you want some wrestling stuff for you, Joe Williams? But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, the late Jacoby Jones may have been the actual Super Bowl MVP that Joe Flacco won, but Ed Reed and that defense doing amazing things was part of the stride that got the Ravens to prominence, with that defense being notorious for some time, simply put.
Okay, well, Kyle Nash absolutely comes out here and gives a great take with Ed Reed, you know, one who's a fan of football like myself and Korrey. You know, it's going to be hard to debate that, but when you look at this situation right here, Korrey, are you going to agree with him and go out on Ray Allen and for the same reason as Ed Reed, or go out and say somebody else, or go in and defend the man who has a couple NBA championships?
I should really piss Kyle off right now, but I'm not going to do so, because even though he has given us one of the top 3 moments in Miami Heat history, I am out on now, Sir Kyle. I am donning you Sir Kyle tonight. Sir Kyle has stated one of the safeties that honestly I had a rough time picking against. But I just knew someone here between the 3 of us was going to choose one of those safeties that was considered as one of the greatest of all time and during that golden era of safety. So I decided to go into a different route, someone that isn't really spoken about enough, someone who was a part of the Miami Heat. And Ray Allen only wore 20 when he was with the Celtics, so that disqualified him right off the bat. This gentleman wore 20 for the majority of a career. His NBA debut was November 3rd, 1990, and his career lasted 17 years. He was a 2006 NBA champion with my Miami Heat, a 9-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA, 1990-91 Rookie of the Year, 9-time All-Defensive, and 1995-96 Defensive Player of the Year, and is a part of the NBA's 75th anniversary team, a Hall of Famer who has one of the greatest nicknames of all time, strapped up, as the kids would say, the Glove Gary Payton. I do not believe that Gary Payton gets the actual accolades that he deserves. Number one, longevity. 17 years in the NBA is quite some time. Now, was he like LeBron-esque? No, but he was still able to play defense into his later years, hit some open threes, etc. He learned how to play his role. At 6'4", 180 pounds, Gary Payton was electric coming into the league and was known right away for his defensive prowess. But I don't think we talk about his offensive skills early on in his career enough. Gary Payton is a California product. We know those California boys, Dame Dollar, holla at you. But he does not get the actual respect that he deserves. I think when I looked at number 20, because the other one I started to go with was Manu, because Manu was just a dog, and I feel like he could have started on a lot of NBA teams during the time that he played. But with the longevity of his career, the stats of his career, and when Gary Payton was one of those what they call shutdown defenders in football on the basketball court, you can forget that other team's point guard really showing up, because Gary Payton had them boys on clamps. So for me, Gary Payton is the greatest to wear 20.
That's a fine take, though, Korrey. That's a fine take.
It's a fine take.
I mean, being defensive while also leading the offense with the human highlight film that is Sean Kemp, like that's a lot. That's a lot.
I like both of your picks when it comes to, you've got. I'm surprised that you guys didn't mention some other names too.
You could take the easy way out there.
Ed Reed, and of course you got Gary Payton. Of course they're much better, in my opinion, than Ray Allen at this point when it comes to this, because Ray Allen wore 20 for only his years in Boston, right? And there's other notable players that I would go with over top of this player right here. So that's why I've got to agree with you guys, but disagree on who you picked and go out. Now, as much of a fan of football as I am, last week we celebrated 50 consecutive weeks on Total Football Talk. I'm not going to take the easy way out, Kyle. What in the expletive are you talking about? SIRTOBA wouldn't be what it is if I did take the easy way out. And I could sit up here and be like, oh, Barry Sanders is the greatest player to ever wear number 20 of all, the greatest. No, I'm not going to do that. No, you look at his career. He had a great career. He only played for 10 years. But he probably could have achieved some more things if he would have stayed in the league and maybe gone elsewhere. But I'm not going to go with Barry Sanders for my pick. I'm going to go within the game of baseball. The game of baseball, there's multiple players that you could sit here and say were the greatest to ever wear the number 20 in all of sports history. You can look at Lou Brock, who played, 19 seasons from 61 to 79. And look at what he did in his tenure in baseball. Won 2 World Series, 1964 and 1967 during his time with the St. Louis Cardinals. 6-time All-Star, but I'm not going to go with him. You could go fast forward to the 80s and look at what Mike Schmidt meant to the Phillies from 72 to 89. The man's a 12-time All-Star, 3-time NL MVP, was the World Series MVP in 1980 when they won as the Phillies. But with that one lone World Series championship and the other accolades that he did throughout his career, I'm not even going with Mike Schmidt. Talk about taking the easy way out, Kyle Nash. Talk about doing some digging. You guys would have done a little bit more digging and looked outside of the games of football and basketball, you'd have realized there's been some other notable players that's worn the number 20 for a considerable length of time. I got to look at somebody who played baseball in the major leagues for 21 mother-fathering seasons and then became a manager later on. This man right here is a 14-time All-Star, won 2 World Series championships in 66 and in 70, won it with 2 different types of teams, even though it was with the same franchise in the Baltimore Orioles. They were pretty much 2 different teams by the time they won it in 66 and 70, by the way they had to uphaul things in 69 to get ready for the 70 season. He's a two-time MVP in 61 and 66. He was a World Series MVP during that first championship, won the Triple Crown in 66, was the NL Rookie of the Year in 1956. He's a Gold Glove Award winner. He's an AL batting champion, an AL home run leader in 1966, both the same year he won the AL batting championship and the same year he became the AL RBI leader. That's why he became a Triple Crown winner that year. Further on, later in his career in 1989, when he was a manager, he won the Manager of the Year award for his time as a manager of the Baltimore Orioles. With what he did to turn that around, I'm looking at Frank Robinson. That is the person who I chose, who coming into the 50s and during the time he played, it was not that far along after Jackie Robinson had integrated into the game of baseball and changed things as we know it for African Americans in the major leagues. You got to look at what Frank Robinson, no relation to Jackie, but what he was able to do and accomplish from the 50s on that would not have been possible without the previously things that I mentioned. He would not have played 21 years in the major leagues. He would have not have became a manager later on and becoming a manager in 75 with the Cleveland Indians and coaching all the way through the mid 2000s when he was the first manager of the now Washington Nationals and the last manager of the Montreal Expos before they made the move to Washington. Now, as much as I love the game of football and I love basketball, my number one game that I've always loved growing up, because I was a part of it a lot, was baseball. And for that, based on the accolades we have here, was somebody who has a 21-year career and became a manager during that time frame, I have to take the not so easy way out and go with Frank Robinson as my choice for the greatest to ever mother, father, and wear the number 20 in all of sports history.
You know, you're not getting an argument out of Black Jesus dealing with something black, so I'm just gonna sit down.
Go.
And listen, when you're gonna pull the history, you went with the foundation argument. I still would have picked Barry, but I ain't mad at you for doing what you did. Listen, we got a trio of solid picks. Meanwhile, someone in the comments like, "How do you not pick Barry?" You know, I would be shocked if somebody didn't criticize for that, and they'd be right too. Frankly, 20 is a pretty rich number.
And I love Barry Sanders, and I wish that Barry was just starting his 10-year career now with the Lions, because imagine the fun he would have with this Lions group, a team that he just desperately wanted to play with, something similar to this back then. And just imagine what prime Barry Sanders, even if you only had him for 3 years and you inserted him right now, they'd win 2 out of the next 3 Super Bowls. I'm telling you, it's happened if that was the case.
I mean, I don't know about 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls, but it would sure be fun to see an O-line with Mann Campbell coaching them, backed by Barry Sanders. That's pretty legit right there. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but my take might have been far-fetched, but at least the Frank Robinson take made up for that.
No, the foundation argument saves the day, no doubt.
There you go. I had to come back with something to cool the Jets from round 3. Okay, as we got questions from the chat, as you said, Barry Sanders ? Yes, I mean, it was tough. But at the same time, when I wrote the show, and my prediction came true. I said Kyle Nash is going to go with something else. Korrey's going to go with something else. And one or the two of them, more than likely Kyle Nash, and this is what my thoughts were, is going to call me out for taking the easy pick, thinking I'm going to go with Barry Sanders. And I was right, because then we got to today on Sunday, and look at what transpired in live action.
Called you out. I would have been fine with it. What do you mean?
No, you said when we started, it's like, go ahead, Drew. Go with the easy pick.
I meant it like encouragingly, not take the easy way out to Willingham. No, I was like, you could do it. It's fine.
I'm just joshing you, Kyle. We're taking it back to 1997.
Hey, whenever I'm doing a mock Yo King, no one's being serious. Let's be real.
I'm trying to save the 20th time for a time where I've really got to drop something home. We're not quite there yet. But Playmaker says Ed Reed, Barry Sanders, Brian Dawkins is one person we didn't bring up.
I almost did, but you can't.
Manu was bringing this up. This is a good question. Yeah. So one of you said Manu earlier. I can't remember. I think Korrey, was it you when you were talking about Gary Payton?
100%.
Okay. So the only one we didn't bring up was Doc. So, but still, that it was definitely tough. Gary Payton is an excellent choice as well, and one that Korrey is absolutely right with. He doesn't get enough praise. I mean, the sad part was, you look at him going to LA, and he couldn't capture anything there with the amount of people that they had on that team. So, but looking right here, let's look at this right here. This is my first time on this channel. Well, thank you, Carmen Jackson, for tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in and checking us out here. And subscribe now and never miss out on new content when it comes to SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Now, we've gone through 4 great rounds. We got one last set of commercials to go through. You don't know what you're going to see. Sometimes neither do I once I click that button. Let's go ahead and see it on the other side of that button.
I remember that I am the color red in a world full of black and white. There you are. You should run.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
In a world where chronicles of the past are brought to the streams, whether the content is relatable or completely beyond your realm of life, there is no shadow of a doubt that this show is absolutely full of shenanigans. Get ready for
D. Willie in the evening.
This Sunday at 10:05 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the SIRTOBA Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Left side.
Round 3.
Click the wrong button. There it is. We are back. Episode 120 of the In or Out Sports Debate. We've gone through 4 great rounds. The fingers got a little happy at the end of that last commercial break, but we're still here. Thank you all for still being here. And we have one last take to get to. I know Korrey's fired up for this one too. Based on the shirt he's rocking right now, let's see where we go with this one with the final round.
Final round.
And here with the final round, the recent additions of Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons make the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl contenders. Korrey, I know you've been hyped to answer this one right here. Are you in or are you out on this one?
Everybody just breathe with me. Breathe. Breathe. Take deep breaths. Drew, you damn right I'm in. Atlanta, It's about that time. You know what our track record has held, and unfortunately, that stain has sat with us for all this time. But now we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The sun rising on the horizon. It is on the way. Atlanta actually did something this offseason. They stopped talking and they started walking. They started doing what they say, and I am here for it. Now let's display the actual finite facts. Number one, Arthur Smith was not the right guy for the job. Number two, 7-9, 3 years in a row with a trash quarterback situation. 7-9. If we simply got mediocre, regular, average quarterback play, we could have easily won 10 games. Been playoff bound. And who knows? Y'all know how the playoffs go down. Whoever the hottest team is the one that gets to the Super Bowl. Now, with these Falcons, the thing that gets me the most is that we are tooling on defense. It has always swung one way or the other with Atlanta. Even the year we went to the Super Bowl, our defense was not the greatest defense. We just took advantage with turnovers. That was it. We gave up a lot of yards, we got scorched quite a bit by quarterbacks. But we had the bend but not break mentality. So now, look at us in this offense. We got Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk. Shout out to the Minnesota Barneys. Even though I still don't agree with the Penix pick because I felt like we should have taken Turner, but it is what it is. We're there. But my man made it right. We went and got Judon for just a third-round pick. I think Judon is more than worth a third-round pick. And then we were able to sign Justin Simmons. And unfortunately, somebody had to get hurt, Marco Helms, to get hurt. But, Justin Simmons is a needed piece on the back end. Now, I do still worry about our pass rush. Even though we got Judon, we got Grady Jarrett. I want to see what happens with that. And the other side, the opposite corner of A.J. Terrell, I'm a little bit questionable on that. I'm still looking at that. But we have an average offensive line. I'm not going to say we have a great offensive line, but we have at least 2, maybe 3 players that are pretty decent. Our running game is going to be unmatched. And then we finally did something with receiver. And not saying that we got, the Sanus of the world and et cetera, but we got some decent receivers now. You got some people that their name. So now that we have a quarterback at the helm who can at least guide us and give us some average quarterback play, maybe above average quarterback play, Atlanta can definitely take the South, but I think they're going to surprise a lot of teams. And with Raheem Morris being in that position, who has won championship, and is now bringing that pedigree back to Atlanta, I think that changes the landscape. It changes the thought process, and these guys are going to be fired up to play for him. Atlanta Falcon fans, it's about damn time. We're here. Let's see what happens.
Well said, Korrey. Someone defending the Falcons quite well on that, and I'm quite interested to see where Kyle Nash takes this, spins this, if he agrees, if he disagrees on his final take of this show.
Now, the way the question's worded is Super Bowl contender with the addition of Matthew Judon. Korrey, I don't know how much you've listened to the Student of the Game podcast over the years in this or its previous rendition. I've been doing, combining the two of them, over 500 ish episodes, close to 500-ish episodes of the Student of the Game. I am notorious for criticism of the delusion of the Atlanta Falcon fan. I am in. What I find entertaining about fraud cotton fans is at the beginning of the season, they always fall for the trick again. Here's the problem. They finally decided to address things that have historically plagued this team for being a problem. When they made the aforementioned Super Bowl that Korrey Mann, a.k.a. Black Jesus, mentioned, Vic Beasley was a top-level sack getter and basically disappeared. Dude, at this point, could not even make an XFL 3.0 squad. That's right, he got cut from the Las Vegas Viper. God, what happened? Okay. And I'm not even going to make a joke about the very obvious, unfortunate situation that has left us all from having to listen to Brady fans for the rest of our bleeping lives. Thank you very much for that, Atlanta. No, I'm not going there either. What I am saying is this. I can diss the Falcons all I want, but the problem is I do like a lot of these moves. And when inevitably Kirk Cousins actually gets hurt or fails again in a primetime game, Michael Penix Jr., the should have been Heisman Trophy winner, according to the student of the game, will fill right in very nicely. Say what you will about Cousins. One thing is true. He has the ability to be a pretty good teacher, okay? I don't care how goofy he is. Hell, he's so goofy he looks like a damn teacher. Let's be real, okay? Punchline's this, though. Addressing defense in this instance is something the Falcons are horrible at. The guy I cry hardest for as an Atlanta Falcon over the years isn't any fan. It's Keith Brooking for playing great as a linebacker and being about the only Falcons player you heard of that isn't it's a corner. What's his name? I don't know. I can't even remember it right now. That's how far off I am. Korrey, fill in the blank if you have an idea. But the punchline's this, my friends. The only other thing that the Falcons are historically bad at that keeps shooting themselves in the foot, even though I warned you all about Desmond Ridder, but nobody wanted to listen to the fact that I covered him for years as a member of the Black and Gold Banneret, bing, and seen UCF defenses regularly manhandle him all years except for one where they had a team that Alabama, let's just say, had more trouble handling than others on their schedule, but no one wants to talk about that, right? I warned you guys about Desmond Ridder, but oh no, he's going to be our guy. Okay, that's fine. Glad you're on the other side of the world and listening to me once again. All that has to happen is Trent Williams suffers an injury in San Francisco. The Eagles continue to dismantle, and somehow you limp past either the Packers or the Lions. That ain't far-fetched. Yes, it might be a dark horse, but it's one that can ride across the finish line. I got the Falcons as a contender, folks, believe it or not.
I am very surprised. I was thinking when I wrote this topic, I guess Korrey, was right. I guess that one right. And then I was like, Kyle's going to come in here and go blast from the past on his take with the Falcons, with how you have been towards their fan base. I was looking at this to be like what we had for round 3. Okay. But in a different context, talking about football. Okay. Now, here we are. Sometimes I just have to be the one that's on an island by himself. And I'm going to do it here and now. And I'm sorry, Korrey. I love you, man, but I'm out. I didn't see this coming. This is one of those for the sake of debate answers. And I have to look at the AFC and the NFC collectively. And here in the NFC South, I look at teams that they've got in there that made some adjustments this offseason. You've got the Panthers, you got the Saints, you got the Buccaneers. Now, the Panthers are still trash. Okay, let's just get that out the way. All right, like I'm not even going to sit up here and try to acknowledge the Panthers are going to be neck and neck with the Falcons for taking the NFC South. Okay, no. All right, the Saints, historically known as the Aints, themselves, not as big of a laughingstock as the Panthers. Made a few moves here and there, but I still don't have them up there with the level of, say, the Falcons and the other team that I am going to pick to win the NFC South this year, and that is the Buccaneers. Kirk Cousins coming back from an injury, even though he looks good in practice, we still really haven't seen enough of him. Haven't really seen any of him in the Falcons uniform, and we got to see how the season plays out. You invested a top 10 pick in a quarterback that you shouldn't have picked to begin with. You shouldn't have, picked that quarterback in particularly that high up in the first round of the draft as well. You had other weapons. Like you said, you could have gone with Turner to help out. Could have also, even though you've got a great receiving core, you could have bolstered it a little bit more by the addition of Rome Odunze and given him this year to kind of work behind the other talent. You don't know if Drake London's going to take the cash and go somewhere else at some point. You got other weapons, too, when it comes to Kyle Pitts that you still don't know if he's going to be there a couple of years from now or not. So if you had gone with Rome Odunze, a safe pick and kind of working within the system. You don't have to play him as much, and you can still have an additional weapon. That's somebody else that could have helped out your quarterback. You picking up Penix, basically sending a message that you're not fully on board, thinking that Cousins is going to come back being the Cousins of old. And you threw him the money that you did. And now you don't even know if you're going to get the payment, the dividends from that contract. They're making moves that are questionable to me, and especially we looked at the moves that they made before all this, that everybody was raising the eyebrow, even Kyle Nash, which really surprised me that he went this way, saying that just these two players between Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons, even though it bolsters the defense because that's where they really needed to focus some attention during this offseason, they just now did it in August. When was the last time that we could say a team made moves this late in the offseason? Because to me, it's still offseason because preseason is now, and the season doesn't start until week 1 of the regular season starts. So you are this late into signing Justin Simmons, who you've had the entire offseason to sign him, bring him in, working within the system, get him to learn the playbook. You're now bringing him in. He's got 2-3 good weeks before they play the first week of the season, along with Judon, to figure out what's going on there with the defense, how they play well within the scheme. It's not exactly what you got Judon learning when he played over in New England, as well as Simmons playing in the dumpster Pelican system that they were seeing over there in Denver. They've got to pick up things, and they got to pick it up quick. And you think that these two moves right here in particular are going to put them into Super Bowl contention. If they were in Super Bowl contention, they would have already been there, and this would have just been added layers to the foundation to help them get to the Super Bowl game to begin with. Kyle was right about Desmond Ridder and what he said over the years, and I give it to him because I was one of the ones saying the other and debating against him. If you look at the earlier episodes of this show right here in some of Kyle's first appearances, and Korrey and I talked about Desmond Ridder and stuff as well when you look back at his earlier episodes here on this show as well. Right here and now, though, I'm going to say that these two pieces, as this statement is worded, are not going to be what makes them Super Bowl contenders. If they were Super Bowl contenders, and if they even get anywhere close to sniffing that this year, it's all because they were Super Bowl contenders before they even picked these two players up to begin with. But it all rests in the hands of if they can score more points than what they give up. And historically proven, that's generally how you win the game. You got to put up more points than you give up, all right? And it's all going to start with your quarterback. And the question is, by the time we get to 10, 11, 12, 18, who's going to be your quarterback by then? Is Kirk Cousins going to be healthy enough to be your quarterback at that point? I don't know. Is Penix going to come in, if that's the case, and play well enough like we've seen other teams, like in Cincinnati, when their backup quarterback comes in and they can still be a team in the conversation? Is that going to be a case? I don't know, because this guy's a rookie. So there's many things that we got to ask ourselves about this team. And the first thing is, do these two players make them Super Bowl contenders? I'm saying no, and you two are saying yes, and I'm probably wrong. But for the sake of debate, for this being a debate show, I have to do it. You guys let me know here in the comments how you feel, and you guys now have the floor as the ones who disagree with me, the well-bearded champion over here, to say otherwise.
How dare you pick the Buccaneers to win this South when they went 9-8 last year, and the year before that 8-9, and the Falcons got 7 wins out of a team who did not have a quarterback. Did not have a quarterback whatsoever. So now we add not one, but 2 potential quarterbacks that could help us get over the hump. On top of that, even though Judon and Justin Simmons are just joining the team, cool, fine. There are 2 30-year-old veterans who I would assume be able to catch on to the schemes fairly quickly. So we literally, the only reason why we signed Justin Simmons is because Helms got hurt. DeMarco Helms got hurt. One of our safeties that normally play for us got hurt. So we had to go get a safety. Who else better than Justin Simmons available right now? That's why they restructured Lindstrom's contract in order to get him on the team. So that was just the confines of an injury. But Judon was a need. And I think all three of us can agree that the Falcons have lacked a pass rush for so freaking long. I think the last one that was consistent, I don't even count Vic Beasley trash self. I'm looking at probably somebody like John Abraham was the last time I can remember somebody.
That dude was a beast, though. That's a good call.
Being a set, but he was by himself on that defensive line. Also, imagine if he had a greater Jared, something like that. So I just feel like Atlanta, looking at the records of the NFC South, I had to pull it up, Drew, once you said something about the Buccaneers. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go check this out real quick. Literally, there's nobody that is just so astronomically out that this division is just like, okay, this division is theirs. This division could go to anybody. But with the moves Atlanta has made, it is more significant than the other three teams in the division. And if it's going to lead to wins, it should, well, let's put it this way. It should lead to wins because we did all this without a quarterback.
And now you have a offensive mind whose point of view isn't just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And maybe finally we'll see something from Kyle Pitts. But Drew Willingham, here's how I would return to you. Which, listen, I appreciate it whenever a man known as Black Jesus is giving a sermon. That's everybody's happy evening. But
oh, my brother, testify.
Pulling from my notes from the Student of the Game NFC South preview, bing, which I wish I'd met you sooner, Black Jesus. I would have loved to have you represent the Falcons, but I digress. On their schedule, the Bucks, the Niners, the Ravens, the Lions. A trio of losses before I breathe a word. Steelers, Seahawks, Vikings are the contemporaries to what's going on there. If they do everything else exactly the same, the Bucks are handing this franchise a 3-game lead already. Just throwing it out there.
And I hope this all comes into fruition for you guys. It's like, this is why I say the key words, key 5 words for the sake of debate. Because that we can't agree with everything. There is many ways you become a champ out here in these streets, okay? And this right here is one of them. You have to stand your ground when necessary. You cannot agree with everything, even though, off the record, I agree with everything you guys said. But for the sake of debate, I had to do what I did. And we are here because all three of us represent this right here. And I had to represent it well.
You caught me on a technicality, though, again, Drew. It's the wording. They're dark horses. Let me be clear. I listed 3 separate things that have to happen, which means you're asking me to wish arguably the best player at his position harm. Yes, I do believe that there's a possibility that Trent Williams is better as a tackle than Patrick LaVon Mahomes II is as a quarterback. Goodness knows his numbers were down last year. Not his fault because of all the drops by those receivers. But Trent Williams being hurt will unravel the 49ers. And if that happens, you got the top assassin out the fight.
Ike says the Bucks are winning the South again this year with a positive record. Well, it didn't take them much to do that last year either there, Ike. So well played, I guess. And I'm going to run through its comment because I'm going to share something with you guys here in a minute. But before we get to that, Playmaker says, not yet. The Falcons made great moves, but they are not Super Bowl contenders. They should win the NFC South, but I need to see how Cousins returns from injury. So he's on the same page as I am when it comes to we need to be proven wrong when it comes to that and prove that he came back healthy, just like we'll have to see in New York with Aaron Rodgers.
I would pose this question of you and the Playmaker, Drew Willingham.
What's that?
If Atlanta doesn't have 2 of the top 4 quarterbacks in the division, who is number 4 if it's not Penix?
That's a good question.
I just done knocked the fraud con back. I didn't think of that. Yes,
that is well played. So, and we still haven't even seen Penix taking a regular season snap yet when it all matters. So we'll have to see how that goes. But right here and now, we've got that along with one more comment. The man formerly known by someone else as Korrey is chugging that Falcons with the Z Kool-Aid.
With a Z.
And for that,
You guys want to hear a fucking story?
the story is this. One time, and this is now the second consecutive episode that Korrey's been on where Ike has now brought it up, where someone called him Korrith, and Ike has not let it go.
Korrith is a pretty amazing name. I'm not even mad at it, though.
Yeah,
I don't know how you feel, Korrey. I'm just telling you what I hear.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
It was hilarious, but it brings us back to this clip right here, Ike.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Because the last time I checked, Korrith is not a real name. So let us know. Make it a real name. Have a kid. Call it Korrith in honor of the make-believe name Korrith. We've gone through all 5 rounds of this show. And before we take it to the final word, our producers are telling us we have one promo for Kyle Nash and Korrey to see.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
We're here.
You get one shot at life, one shot, one go around in this world. You take life and you grab it by the throat and you make it give you everything you want.
But someone else will be there. Can you not hear me? Now you can hear me. Out of all that, what I was saying was you can find that show on the graphic that was there. And you know what? I'll even give you the rolling clip just to make up for my miscue. I'm not used to going live on Sundays for a while. Give me a break. But you can find that awesome promo turned into a great set of content, into a show on SIRTOBA Media, as well as the other platforms for shorts. And you still have no idea, and neither do I, who it is behind pulling the strings here. I cannot wait to find out. But what it does look like is this. We have a message behind it all that says, the door was left open. SIRTOBA, let me in. As I walk through the door, the inferno left in my wake is the announcement of my arrival. The time is near. SIRTOBA Media, I'm here.
Well, I deal in postulates and proofs as a student, but I would need divine intervention to help me solve this riddle.
Yep.
I think it's bedtime. It's time to go to bed. The boogeyman coming out. I ain't got time.
There it is. Before we get to that, Playmaker says right now, Cousins 1, Mayfield 2, because Penix has taken a NFL snap. Disclaimer, I don't care for preseason.
I think
so
he means hasn't. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, remember, Darnell, it was the top 4, and I'm saying he's 4th. I'm putting him ahead of Bryce and or whatever they're going to try to do there with Derek Carr and Hollins.
We'll see. I mean, does Taysom Hill still rate higher than Derek Carr, even if he isn't a starting quarterback and is still more of like a gimmick player?
So the punchline being Penix is certainly ahead of him. Moving on.
Ooh, burn. Burn. Ouch. With that being said, we've gone through 5 great rounds. It's now time to induct these guys back into the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
And now with the Vault of Fame, we got a induct these guys here. Korrey Mann is now an 8-time Vault of Fame inductee with episode 120 in the books. We got Kyle Nash here as a 15-time Vault of Fame inductee with his time here on episode 120. And looking at the leaderboard, Kyle Nash still firmly has the third place in check. But as he has said, he is coming for Rob Johnson. Only one episode behind Rob now for second place. We have got to make this Trios edition happen. But right behind him, nipping at his heels now, is his panelist here that he faced in this episode, who is now in fourth place with the 8 times Korrey Mann. All this through 120 episodes. You can find all this on SIRTOBA Media's platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where the struggle is real to be awesome. We are here for episode 120, and as we always do after inducting everyone into the Vault of Fame, we have one last thing to get to, and that is the final word of the show. And of all the things we've talked about in this episode, Kyle, drive it home here with your final word there, sir.
An honor, joy, and privilege to be in once again. And hey, Korrey, I'm looking forward to your next episode as Black Jesus here, everyone's favorite video game character, because that will be your 9th appearance, which means it would be a trinity of trinities. But it doesn't get more spiritual than that. And listen, guys, thanks so much for having me aboard here and doing my thing. And for not just for this, for everything on SIRTOBA Media with which I contribute. I myself have many announcements to make on upcoming. One of them even happens to be a signed contract with an entity. That should be a fascinating thing to see as the days come. And I can think of no better place here than the In or Out Sports Debate to make such an announcement. So with that in mind, an honor, joy, and privilege, I don't really have a sports take other than one thing and one thing alone. Should the Fraud Cods make the Super Bowl? Oh boy, Patrick LeVon Mahomes II or Lamar Jackson has an easy road to finish out that Super Bowl.
Well, Kyle, you left the door open. What is the contract?
If I could say it publicly, I would have said it, Drew Willingham.
Why'd you say it till you can't say it?
Now people need to watch the show so they'll see the announcement. It may not be some creepy thing with the voice distributor, but it's still teasing.
There it is. I was waiting for that answer. Kyle delivered it tenfold. Korrey, what is your final word there, sir?
Kyle, you and these Falcons. Comment, sir.
Relationship.
But see, here's the beauty, though, that even Kyle knows. The thing that is the beautiful thing about the Falcon situation is hope. And that's what I want to talk to everyone about. It is hope. Ooh. Some things may not always seem like it is just forefront. It's right there in front of you. You can reach out and grab it, and it's there. And sometimes you got to walk that aisle, that alley, walk through that doorway, that hallway, that jungle where it's nothing but darkness around you. The thing is that you can either sit in the darkness or you can keep walking until you find the light. So sometimes that light may be red. You never know. But you have to keep walking until you find your light. And essentially, you need to find your purpose and find hope in something. Find something that makes you go. Find what makes you tick and utilize that as your motivation. Understand, it's never too late. It's never too late to let your gifts make room for you. So just know, as the great Wyndham Rotunda says, that's why you see the color red, because of Wyndham's things I have here. Be the color red in the world filled with black and white. Be you. You can be the best you. Nobody else can be you.
Well said, guys. You guys brought some great facts here into the show. Stepped on me a couple times like Kyle Nash did, but you know I'll get up and keep on trucking. Just like they said back in the day in the song, Ain't Never Scared, because I ain't never scared. Back at that song. I'll bop it every single day of the week if I could. Right here and now, we're going to talk about the final word, okay? I really didn't get a chance to click this button earlier, but with my final word, I'm going to click it now. That breaking news is this. Normally there's a graphic I've done up and put up on the screen to talk about it, but I moved this show to Sundays after last week's Monday episode of 119. Just as I had explained in that show, there's a lot of moving parts going on right now, and I had to move this show to Sundays in order to make everything flow the way that it can throughout the week, because I've got a lot of things going on that some of them I can and can't talk about here on the air. Just like Kyle said with his contract and in similar entities when it comes to obligations, I have to be in different places, and sometimes when I click the red button here, I might need to be somewhere else, and that's exactly what I'm saying with this show. Is still going to remain on Sundays for a bit, but it's not going to be every Sunday. I'm going to try once I bring it back in the next couple of weeks to have it to that light, but I got to get some other things taken care of in the very little free time that I have. Total Football Talk will still be playing Mondays from 4 to 6 right now. And Cole and I will be figuring out where we're going to shift that to, with some other things that are kind of going along with what I just previously mentioned to keep everything running. Commander's Gridiron Report still effectively, as of right now, is going to be Tuesdays at 11 a.m. But for the next couple Tuesdays, like last week's episode, is going to be at 1:05 to kind of balance out with some of the other things that I was talking about that I can't talk about. But here and now, I will say is this: I appreciate every single one of you that watch this show live, the replay, who share it, who subscribe to it, who get hyped about the other things that we're doing, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, whichever the platforms there are, and whichever platforms we may add this network to in the future. I appreciate you, YouTube. And you may be one of the bigger, video distributors out there, but we have bigger goals and bigger things in mind as we continue to build this brand. YouTube is not the end all be all, and there's many other parts to the plan that we can't achieve if we only have ourselves tunnel visioned onto one platform. So with that being said, I need some more time to figure some other things out. And as much as I love this show, it takes a lot to put into it. And it wouldn't be if it wasn't for the people who continuously come back, like Kyle and Korrey, and those of us who have built this entity to what it is, to 120 episodes. I'm glad we got this one in. Got close to not getting in, but I'm glad we did. And looking forward to 121, whether it be 2 weeks from now, if I can bring it back, or 3 weeks from now. I promise that within a 4-week span at most, it will be back. I'm thinking 2 weeks from tonight, 9 o'clock. But stay tuned to SIRTOBA Media on all the platforms, the stories, which they're everywhere, wherever. I'm starting to make up terms, but right here at the end of the final word, we're all a little tired. We're all a little gassed. We all gave it our best, and I had a blast with both of you. This is one great Trios edition. Thank you again for showing up, giving me your time, spending extra time, and giving me time to get to where I could be tonight, because I couldn't do it without you two. So I'm looking forward to the next one as we round out episode 120 of the In or Out Sports Debate. We've only got one more mother-fathering thing left to do. Let's look at one badass outro for Kyle Nash, the student of the game, for the one recently dubbed as Black Jesus with a G, Korrey Mann. I am Drew Willingham. As always, please stay safe out here in these streets.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.